All right, so here we have our digital applet of the table from page 6. So knowing that you guys don't actually have the packet in front of you, this applet is a really cool tool that we can use so we can still practice our graphing skills. So if you look up at the top, you can see you've got the clicker, just like a pointer. This right here is how you plot a point. So you just click anywhere and it'll plot a point. This is how you make a line. So you just click on any one point and then click the second point and it'll make a straight line for you. And then the other point, the other tool we'll be using is the delete button, which is the trash can. And once you click it, it becomes highlighted and then you can just click everything that you want to delete. All right. So now we're back to blank and I want to start plotting points. So once again, here we have a coordinate plane, and we can see down below that my x-axis is cups of red paint, and my y-axis, the up and down axis, is cups of yellow paint. So we can use our table over here to begin plotting points. So if we look at the first row, I can see that I have 2 cups of red for 3 cups of yellow. So I'm looking at my red. I don't see a 2 anywhere down here, but I do see a 4 and an 8. So because there's a little space in between each one, it's not actually counting by 4s. Each mark on the grid is actually counting by 2s. So this would actually be 2. So if I'm at 2 red, 3 yellow, then I'll be here, 2 red, and 3 yellow is my first point. Now looking, I've got 6 red and 9 yellow. So then I am going to go to the right 6 and up to where it says 9. And there's my point. And now I've got 8 red, 12 yellow. Okay, so once again, always start going left and right before you go up and down. So 8 on the red, and then 12 up to the yellow. And you can see here that this sort of looks like it's forming a straight line. Let's do a couple more. 12 red, 18 yellow. So here's 12, 18. And now I'm feeling pretty confident it's a straight line. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line right here. Okay. And now let's see. Let's do a couple more. 14 and 21. So 14 would be in between 12 and 16, and then up to 21. Ah, look, and it lands on my line. And let's go to the last one, 28 and 42. So to the right, 28, 28 red, and that would give me 42 yellow. Perfect. So anytime you have an equation for a ratio, it should make this kind of line, okay? So if you see this, if your points make a straight line, then you know that you are in fact making that equivalent ratio. So at this point, why don't you pause this video and go ahead and click on the second link in WiserMe and practice making a table for, making a graph for the yellow cups of paint to red, where the axes are switched. Okay, so assuming that you paused the video, I'm going back to my paper copy here. Here you can see the graph that I just made digitally on paper. So once again, over 2, up 3, over 6, up 9. And I also, on paper, was able to add what the coordinates were. And I also took a few really important notes here. Once again, you should always know that the x-axis is what goes left and right, and the y-axis is what goes up and down. And also, I mentioned here this box. Write this down somewhere, because this is super important. Whatever your x-axis is, that will always be the independent variable, and the y-axis will always be the dependent variable. And remember that independent is the number that gets multiplied it's the number that stands on its own. So the independent variable you always seek out first, and then you go up to find the value on the dependent variable. So this would be the equation that represents this graph, y equals 3/2 r. So let's say I put in 2 for r, and I solve that, I would get 3 on my y. Let's say I plugged in 6 for r, I would get 9 for my y. And then to check your digital work that you solved for the second one, that graph should have looked like this. And as you can see, once again, the x-axis is always the independent and the y-axis is always the dependent. And then the equations were just switched around. So the other one was y equals 3/2 r, and this one was r equals 2/3 times y. So, big takeaways from this activity is just knowing that whenever you graph a point from a table, you always just go to the right first and then up to plot your point. Important to label if you can, and if you get a straight line, you know that you've made that equivalent ratio.